Billy Dean is here, which when they said, hey, Billy Dean's, I was like, absolutely. I said yes immediately. I'm such a big fan, have been a fan forever. So this is the part of the interview where I just say I'm a massive fan before I get professional. So thank you for coming by.
Thank you. My phone rang off the hook a couple of years ago. I think you were talking about the 90s and my name come up. And, man, I had about 5 or 6 people from my hometown call, hey, Bobby Bones is talking about the 90s, mention you. So thank you for that, man, well, keeping the old man alive.
It's like, I know where I was, like whenever we just disagree. There's times in music in our life at those ages where we're developing where you just know where you were, and your music was such a big part of that for me.
Thank you.
And it's crazy that you don't really look any older. Your hair's a little grayer, but doesn't he still like?
Oh, it looks the same, man.
I'm just glad to still have some hair.
Good genes are good docs, is what they say.
I was getting a little thin on top, and my son's. I said, I'm a little worried. I'm kind of getting a little thin on top. He goes, Dad, you're 6'4". Nobody can see up there anyway.
That's true. You are quite intimidating walking in because you're a lot bigger than you get. Right? It's
taller than I thought.
So were you an athlete as well?
Yeah, I played a little college basketball, a little junior college basketball. I'm from Florida, the great state of Florida, and I was trying to get out of there, trying to make my way to Nashville, and by way of a scholarship and playing a little ball. So went to little junior college in East Central Junior College in Mississippi, and man, junior college ball is tough. They let you play, don't call any fouls. It was like playing basketball with Toby Keith back in the day, man. There was no fouls.
That's funny.
Play with him.
They can only afford so many referees.
That's exactly right. All these spoiled high school, basketball jocks, man. You go to junior college, it's like, okay, it's time to grow up a little bit here.
That's funny. So, were you known in high school then as the singer or the athlete more?
Probably the singer, I guess. We had a small little school. It was only like 30 people in my graduating class, and my dad had a band for years at the American Legion Hall. He's a World War II veteran, and music was kind of like his therapy. And so I grew up playing in his band. And then when I got to school, we had like a 6-week term paper due about like Shakespeare, star-crossed lovers, and I procrastinated to the last minute and wrote a song instead of doing the term paper and got an A. And I thought, well, I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is pretty easy. It's like I don't have to do anything but sing. And then the school kind of found out I played and sang after that.
Did people ever confuse you for the sausage guy?
Yeah, oh yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah, I did for a long time.
I thought they may have been related when I was a kid. Yeah. I was like, I wonder if Billy and Jimmy know each other.
I actually got to ask him that. In fact, we won a couple of awards at the ACM several years ago, and he we weren't any relation, but we knew each other, and he sent me a letter. I still have it, and I laminated it and everything, and it said, "Congratulations, love, Dad."
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
That's funny. And so Billy Dean, is that because Bobby Bones is not my real name. Bobby is, but Bones is not. Is that your real name?
William Harold Dean. My dad's name was Billy. I actually didn't have a middle name. My dad didn't. So my name was William Harold Dean, and I grew up as Harold Dean. I was named after.
You were a kid named Harold?
I was. It doesn't fit.
Wow.
Right? I
never heard of a kid named Harold. Maybe an occasional Harry. Do they call you Harry or Harold?
Oh, Harold. It was always nasally. Harold.
That's funny.
And so, when I got to Nashville, man, there's no Harold Dean. There's no Harolds in country music, And so my dad was really good. I thought it'd be kind of cool to just change my name to Billy. And over the years, I've had a chance to see that name on a lot of billboards and stuff out in Vegas, and have a little talk with the old man, and say, here you go, there's your name in Vegas now.
Until he sues you for residuals for stealing his name. Yeah. So as a kid, I remember whenever I would hear Billy the Kid, I always thought, and again, this is me as a kid, I always thought it was so cool you said your name in your song. Yeah. Because that didn't happen a lot. You didn't have Alan Jackson go on, here's the story of Alan, or you didn't have, they never, and I thought it was so cool that you said that even if it wasn't about you, or it wasn't whatever, I ever thought, artists don't ever say their names in songs. So as that kid, I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, man, thank you.
Did you worry, not even worry, was that a concern whenever you're putting it out to have a song about you with your name?
Yeah, I thought it was too personal, and probably wouldn't be a hit or anything because of that. I actually was telling Paul Nelson, my co-writer, about what it was like growing up as a kid. You know, so I spent a lot of time away from the house on my bicycle, you know. But listen, it's kind of interesting being raised by a World War II dad, you know, because they tried to grow you up too quick, you know, got to make you a man, you know. And, you know, the Vietnam War was going on. So I spent a lot of time rebelling against that on my bicycle, you know, riding around town and everything. And I was telling, you know, Paul Nelson, we were just pretty much, you know, terrorizing the neighborhood and stuff. And he said, sound like you were a little outlaw, like a little Billy the Kid. And when he said that, we went, oh, wow. Never even thought about writing a song from that point of view. And we did, and then after we recorded it, it really felt like a hit. I tell you, I've had more girls, though, come up and tell me how much they rode their bicycle. They did the same thing as that.
I think you were just good looking, and they wanted something to talk about with. If I'm being honest, he's like, I had more women approach me about that. Yeah, okay, Billy. But okay, you know, I thought it was. That's what I remember thinking. That's so cool that he sings a song about himself, and I just wondered the process in making that like a single. If that was a weird element.
It was like the fourth song off the album. We'd had a lot. It was on my second album, self-titled Billy Dean album, and we'd already had like Only the Wind, If There Hadn't Been You Don't Count the Cost. We had some hits off of there, and mostly ballads, and I always needed tempo and songs, and so Billy the Kid was the last choice, you know, the last single off that album. Ended up being an identity record for me, you know, it set me apart from the rest of the pack.
You know, there was definitely a style that you sang with then, but I don't know if it's because you got a little older, but I like the bluesy version of that. That's awesome.
Brad, you know, that's a big part of my musical background that I really couldn't bring to Nashville.
Sure.
They weren't really ready for that maybe until, you know, Travis Tritt came along, and man, he was putting a little bit of the Southern rock or the Southern soul into that. And in fact, man, we're doing a lot of, actually we're going to do a little first Ag Festival with Southern soul, R&B music and country music in my home state. Where's that going to be? Down in Quincy, Florida, June 1 and June 2. DJ Trucker, he's a great guy, great friend, and he's got like 1 million Facebook followers, and he drove a truck for years and did a Southern Soul playlist while he was driving a truck, and was able to quit driving a truck and do these festivals, and our county wanted to do the first annual Ag Festival in our hometown, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to be. I couldn't do that when I came to Nashville because it was really, you know, man, everybody was like, "Okay, are you a country?" It was they're putting you in a box, you know, and fitting you in there. So so I kind of stayed away from some of that, you know, until a little bit later. But that's really in my heart, my soul. It's just the way it comes out, you know.
What's Quincy near your hometown?
Tallahassee. It's near the capital.
Yeah.
It's it was known for Coca-Cola was one of the first companies that the big tobacco farmers down there. It's a very special soil, a lot of agriculture down there. And we Coca-Cola came down when they were raising money in the early 1900s or late 1800s to start Coca-Cola. They went to all of these tobacco farmers and got all this money. And one of the first bottling plants was there, and so, but you know, it was very hard living, hard way of life there. You know, digging in the dirt and everything. I couldn't wait to get out. Of course, you know, Dad always, you know, grow you up. You know, gotta be a man. You know, I was like, man, I can't wait to get out of here. You know, and so, but about 6 years, I moved back. Just south of there, a little island called St. George Island.
You live on an island?
I do.
Lunchbox, listen to this. He lives on an island.
So population, how many people?
There's, I think, 800 residents there. Okay. It's crazy, man. I went when I first went back to the island about 6 years ago. I was standing there at this spot in the state park, and I went, oh my God, I remember standing here when I was 17 years old, wondering if I could just play music long enough to like buy a trailer and live down here. I forgot what the end game was. It took about 30 something years, but I remember that spot, and I thought, okay, this was what I was really wanting to do. I wanted to play music so I could live down here on this place. A little fishing village, nothing fancy, no golf courses, no high rises, just little, you know, little second homes and little fishing village, just about an hour and a half south of Quincy where I grew up.
That's pretty cool. Are you a Florida State fan?
I am. I'm a Noel fan. Bobby, he spoke at my athletic banquet when I was a senior. Yeah, when I was a senior in high school. So we, you know, you go to school, half of them are Gators and half of them are Seminoles. It's always a war.
We're going down to Tallahassee in a couple days.
Are you really?
Yeah, to hang out with the basketball team and the softball team.
Oh,
and
awesome.
So yeah, we've played Florida State football stadium before.
We have.
Eddie and I have.
Really?
And yeah, it's. I like Tallahassee. Doesn't feel like the rest of Florida.
No, right.
There are certain parts of Florida that I really like. I like Tampa a lot. Normal people. Tallahassee's it's young and also like normal folks too.
Yeah. It's interesting. You wouldn't think of Tallahassee being the capital. You know, think like a Miami or a Tampa, something like that. But it's very diverse up there. Very different. Florida State was a big part of that. So music, you know, in that area, you know, you had like. Yeah, the Allman Brothers. You had black gospel soul music. You had, you know, of course, the traditional, you know, George Jones, William Waylon, all the outlaw stuff. So there was a lot of different kind of music going on, and especially with the college town there. A lot of the James Taylor, you know, the folkies, which I kind of gravitated towards. You know?
I think for a while too. I think that's what you were known kind of as, the country music James Taylor. Did you hear? Because I felt that way. Did you feel that?
I did. I was a big fan. In fact, I was going to be managed by his manager. Went out and met him, met James, and you know, they didn't know what to do with me. You know, they had a publishing deal here in Nashville, but then they signed me as a singer, record deal out of New York, and they really didn't know. It was kind of fell in a crack, maybe, you know, and then Somewhere My Broken Heart came out and crossed over and to, you know, adult contemporary, and there was a big stink about that, you know. Like, well, what is he? Is he country?
I know.
That's the, you know, of course, you don't have to
some
worry
things
about.
never change.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
It never changed. What, you know, Somewhere My Broken Heart was pretty different for the time, and everybody now you go, man, that's classic country. You know, it's like I love being classic country now. You know,
I mean, like, what's the deal?
Man,
you out a bunch?
Man, yes, you know, the '90s. I moved to that island to slow down a little bit. You
And now
know,
you're going.
and then the '90s, you know, hits, which I'm very thankful for. Yeah, we're working. It's like the demand is like it was in the '90s, except I'm not 30 years old anymore. You know, it's like it's a lot of miles. But yeah, I'll be at the Mint Casino actually Friday night. I think this Friday. Well, whenever it is. When I'm not sure when all of this airs, but yeah, we're gonna be up in this area. Probably do about 150 shows.
Wow,
this year.
really? Good for you.
And then you add the traveling on that. It's like that comedian says, Leanne Morgan, when I get home, I have to take to the bed. Yeah. I have to rest up.
You guys can follow Billy, and because you can see, you know, a lot of what he's doing. Either, you know, you have a golf cart you drive around.
I do. I do some golf cart karaoke on the island.
Yeah. You can watch. It's official Billy Dean. You can see his shows, and the rest of it's mine. The record you put out in 2022. It's the first time in like 10 years you put out new music.
Yeah, it was. When I moved back, you know, during the COVID and all that, we were on the island, which I highly recommend if you're going to be quarantined. Find an island somewhere. It was good, but it makes you write a lot of the stuff that I grew up listening to, and so I saw these people retired, you know, in Florida, and they're so active, you know, they got kayaks, bicycles, and so me and Paul Overstreet, Hall of Fame songwriter, we decided to write a message to our kids in case they decided to boomerang back around and say, hey, the rest of it's mine. You're on your own now. Do your own thing. So the whole album's kind of fun and tropical, light. You know, I'm always done so many serious kind of songs and things that touch the heart. And so I wanted to do something fun and easy, you know. And so the rest of it's mine came out last year. We'll do another one next year. Should be marking, I think, 35 years. Good Lord, of being in the business. Somewhere in My Broken Heart's, I think, 35 years old next year. So we'll do another album. Got, you know, writing better than I've ever written. Got a song, you know, Craig Morgan and Luke Combs recorded a song called Raise the Bar. It's on his new album. And so some of the catalog's starting to pop up here a little bit. My son and his daughter, my daughter-in-law and my little grandson live up here. So I'm up here about once a month, just staying active and but try to stay on the island as much as I can.
Sounds like you buy a new island, your own island. Keep popping like this. You guys follow Billy, official Billy Dean. Does your family back home, does anybody call you Harold at all, or is it all Billy all the time?
No, most of the guys I graduated with call me Harold. We get together about once a year, and they go. It's funny to watch them try to go back. Well, you want Billy or you want Harold? I said, Harold, man. Harold's fine. That's always code for somebody who's known me for a long time.
Well, we're big fans. I really appreciate
Bobby.
you coming by. And everybody,
Same here.
You're listening, you should go see Billy where he's going. Go to his shows. Official Billy Dean on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for playing too. That was awesome.
Thank you,
That's
buddy.
a thrill for me. There, Billy Dean.
I
Everybody.
appreciate you guys. Thanks, Bob.